Tim Houston, Nova Scotia's Premier, recently announced his ambitions to resurrect his province's natural gas industry. In a video he released, he claimed that Nova Scotia sits above a massive offshore natural gas resource that could supply all of Canada for 30 years. While Canada already taps large gas reserves in British Columbia and Alberta, those operations often suffer from depressed pricing due to limited access to premium markets. Multiple projects are underway to boost egress capacity to over 6 billion cubic feet per day of LNG by the next decade. But nearly all of that will flow into Asia, not Europe. That's what makes Nova Scotia's eastern position so strategically promising. Liquefied natural gas shipped from here could reach Europe more directly, where prices are much higher than what domestic Canadian producers receive. Premier Houston's recent trade mission to London and Milan is no coincidence. He's actively courting international energy investors. And natural gas isn't the only prize. Estimates suggest there are at least 8 billion barrels of oil still recoverable offshore as well. Unlike gas from British Columbia or Alberta, this Atlantic supply wouldn't require a transcontinental pipeline or the political wrangling that goes with it. The East Coast option is more direct and potentially less fraught. Yet today, Nova Scotia doesn't tap its reserves at all. It imports natural gas, largely from the United States. Some of that gas is originally produced in Western Canada, then sold to the US at low prices, and later resold to Eastern Canada at a markup. Nova Scotia once had an offshore gas industry in the 1990s and early 2000s, which generated significant royalty revenue for the province. That money helped fund roads, schools, hospitals, and other public works. Now, Premier Tim Houston is pushing for a revival. He argues that reactivating offshore gas would lower power costs for residents and create jobs. On a deeper level, he may view this as an anchor industry, a durable revenue stream to support hospitals, schools, and infrastructure while building local supply chains. If executed wisely, it could shift the province's fiscal foundation. This move also aligns with Nova Scotia's economic realities. Incomes in Nova Scotia are among the lowest in Canada, in part because on a per-worker basis, Nova Scotia has the lowest levels of business investment in the country. Growth in the province lags behind many others. Resource development offers a path to attract investment, increase wages, and diversify beyond traditional sectors. Some analysts suggest that Houston's government is aiming to dismantle overly restrictive regulations that have stifled energy investment in the past. The province still retains some legacy infrastructure, ports capable of liquefying or regasifying gas, and pipeline connections toward New Brunswick. That gives it a head start rather than starting entirely from scratch. On the environmental front, Canada's standards are already competitive on the global stage. Moreover, proponents argue that carbon dioxide emissions from gas operations could be sequestered beneath the ocean floor, reducing the net carbon impact. Some bold claims suggest that depleted oil and gas fields and saline aquifers off Nova Scotia have the capacity to store a full century's worth of Canada's current carbon dioxide emissions. But it may be a while before this project obtains the required green lights. Many critical steps remain ahead. Nova Scotia's offshore resources are jointly managed by provincial and federal authorities under the Canada-Nova Scotia Offshore Accord. Authorities must grant exploration licenses, conduct environmental assessments, issue production permits, and approve operations. Politically, with shifting global dynamics and renewed emphasis on Canadian economic independence, it's seen as an opportune moment to stake a claim in the energy world. In short, Houston has cast a vision, but the legal, regulatory, technical, and financial work must follow. Even though the project remains some distance from execution, its potential implications are sweeping, especially for Atlantic Canada. Nova Scotia could emerge as an energy hub in the region, generating thousands of jobs, growing local supply chains, and fueling new marine engineering, vessel, and fabrication businesses. Neighboring provinces like New Brunswick could benefit from shared pipeline networks, infrastructure spillover, and energy interdependence. Atlantic Canada's reliance on US gas imports would diminish, insulating the region from cross-border pipeline disruptions and price arbitrage. On the national scale, Canada would gain a new export axis, East Coast LNG shipments to Europe, reducing dependence on US pipeline routes and offering more leverage in global energy markets. Nova Scotia wouldn't be alone. Cenovus's West White Rose rig, recently installed offshore Newfoundland and Labrador, is slated to begin production in 2026 and eventually target around 80,000 barrels per day. That underscores a broader Atlantic energy revival taking shape. And it isn't just the Maritimes. Canada has seen a surge of conventional energy announcements recently, including a renewed interest in an LNG terminal in Saguenay, Quebec. This project was a high-profile LNG terminal proposal designed to connect Western Canadian gas to an eastern liquefaction and export facility. The project, however, was opposed provincially in 2021 and federally rejected in February 2022, shortly before Russia's invasion of Ukraine. That Quebec precedent offers lessons. Ambition alone won't carry the day. The environmental arguments, regulatory rigor, and public buy-in will be just as central as the geology and economics. Houston's announcement is a bold first step, laying out a vision that, if executed thoughtfully, could reshape Atlantic Canada's energy map. This is not a guarantee, it's a statement of intent, but it's a potent one. If Nova Scotia can marshal the geological promise, the infrastructure, the regulatory will, and the financial muscle, it could reposition itself not as an importer of energy, but as a key exporter, a pivot with vast economic and regional significance. In a world still hungry for energy and increasingly uncertain in geopolitics, the east coast of Canada may be quietly becoming one of the next frontiers of fuel. Whether that frontier is realized or stalled in debate and regulation remains to be seen. As Europe continues to decouple from Russian energy, European politicians who may not want to rely on American gas have expressed interest in Canadian energy. Time will tell if Canada will grant it.
I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more videos like this one, subscribe to this channel, Hum of the Earth Canada, for more relevant videos about Canada and its future. Also, this is a new channel, so subscribing helps a lot. You can also share your feedback and thoughts in the comments section. And if you're interested in cool places around the world, you can check out my other channel, Hum of the Earth. All right, that's gonna do it. Hope you enjoyed. Until next time, have a great one.